Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Shine From the Inside's Community Podcast with your host, Jennifer Collington. As you see, a little bit brighter today. Look at Esmeralda sitting in the corner here, enjoying the sunrise. Love that for her. It's a little bit later me recording, but also the seasons are shifting, so the sun will be up more in probably my videos because I do tend to do these in the morning. But today our episode is on self-love, self-worth, and self-care. They all kind of go together. They're really important to me. I believe that they're pretty much the foundation for most of the work that I do. Ultimately, because once you know about your self-worth, you have a higher level of self-love. And then the more that you have self-love, the more you want to care for yourself. And the more that you have this self-care in tow, the more that you actually care about not only yourself, but everyone around you. Because you realize this care isn't special. This care is basic and fundamental. It's stuff that we all need. And the more that we don't have self-care or self-love or feel any self-worth, the more harmful our society and our environments become, because of the fact that we're willing to accept whatever is happening around us because we don't really have any kind of foundation that says that it should be something better than this. So it's important for us to know that in practicing some of these things that I'm talking about, the reason I go over them is because of the understanding that we need to have moving forward about their importance. We were never taught about self-love growing up, a lot of us, because they didn't really want us to love ourselves. Why? Well, because they made a lot of money off of us by not loving ourselves. They made a lot of progress for them off of controlling us. And part of controlling us is you don't fit the narrative. You don't fit the narrative, so you have to change. If you love yourself, then you don't feel the need to change that narrative of yourself. You don't feel the need to fit in. You don't feel the need to conform. And that's the problem, is they did this on purpose. They made a society that hates themselves, feels like they're never good enough, feels like they're never worthy enough, never deserving of all of this amazing life, amazing body, amazing health, amazing environments, relationships, because they did not want us to feel that worthy of these things, because only the best, right, were worthy. And only those people who fit this ideal standard that were false were the ones that deserve to feel loved, were the ones that deserve to feel approved of. And so only those people could really love themselves, because they were meeting the standards of what's approved of and what was seen as right and beautiful. And then anything outside of that small window, which was unrealistic in the first place, anything that was outside of that, we were taught needed to be changed and was wrong about us. When in reality now, most of us know one size doesn't fit all. So we're all not going to look alike. We're all not going to feel alike. We're all not going to operate alike. And that should not change how worthy and loved we are. So this video is very important to me. It's probably the thing that I've worked on the most my whole life, aside from empowerment and confidence. Those things, empowering myself and my self-confidence, they came from my self-love. They came from knowing who I am. They came from knowing that I deserve to be loved as I am for the person that I am, which is one of the reasons why today I have my hair in these pigtails. I'm not wearing any makeup. I did not want to do this video in a fake way. I love myself as I am. When I was a child, this is how I used to wear my hair all the time, was in buns. I used to love Sailor Moon. And it's really influenced me. Looking back on them now, I see how Sailor Moon has influenced me a lot throughout my life. But it's funny because I, for so long, was so worried about how I looked and how I acted and how I sounded and how I was, that I was so confined to being something I wasn't. I wasn't free to be who I was. And it's so amazing now to feel free, to feel like there isn't this suppression that I need to have in order to feel like I am able to participate in society, to know that I am still loved even if society doesn't love me, you know. And so I really want to do this video because it's important for people to understand the power that is behind your self-love and your self-worth, and how self-care is ultimately the biggest health model that we could ever practice, because self-care, it does feed into every single bigger health modality that's out there for healing. So we're going to get into that, all right? So I guess the first place we could kind of start with this is I want to go over the definitions of these terms, because I want people to understand exactly what they mean, okay? So I have them written down. Obviously, I always have a lot of writing. But self-love, a state of deep appreciation, acceptance, and compassion for one's self. It stems from your actions that support physical, psychological, and spiritual growth. It involves having a high regard for your own well-being, acknowledging your own strengths, weaknesses, setting boundaries to protect your peace that isn't selfish or conceited, okay? So ultimately, self-love is just you accepting yourself and taking care of yourself. All right, knowing that you deserve to be loved as you are in your authenticity, and even when you make a mistake, to have compassion with yourself, but also that boundaries are incredibly important. Knowing when you should not be pushing yourself to be, a fake narrative that doesn't belong to you, right? Like, you should not be making yourself participate in something that isn't for you. You shouldn't be making yourself participate in something that goes against what feels right for you. You shouldn't be making yourself or forcing yourself into relationships, environments, jobs, health, diets, anything, restrictions that do not feel right for you. These are boundaries that we need to put up, because they are things that they actually help us to take care of ourselves in a way that actually is authentic and aligned with us, okay? So if we move on to self-worth is the unconditional internal belief that you are valuable, worthy of love, and deserving respect simply for being you over external achievements or appearances. It's a foundation of self-respect that stays consistent, unlike self-esteem, which fluctuates, okay? So self-worth is very similar to self-love in the fact that you still need to set boundaries, and you still want to have this self-regard for yourself, to know kind of your authenticity and accepting yourself. But it goes a little bit further, because self-worth also stems into that knowing you deserve to be complimented. So accepting compliments, that is a part of it. A lot of us, some people push them away, and watch what your hands do when people compliment you. So sometimes if you go like this, you're kind of smacking it away or throwing it in the trash. And that's kind of what your energy is doing with your hands when you do that. One of my biggest things, because I used to have a hard time accepting compliments, was about welcoming that in. All right? Not everybody that gives me a compliment, maybe I don't agree with per se, but I think of it as a gift. Do I like every gift I get? No, but I appreciate every gift I get. It might not every single thing be exactly what I wanted, but I do appreciate it was a gift. So this compliment somebody gives me, I now see it as, that may not be what I think, but that's what they think. And that was said to me in their understanding and their perception. And who am I to negate that? And at some point, I deserve to welcome in that perception of that compliment. I deserve to take that in. So one of the things you can start to do is start to bring it to your heart. This is a sign of you bringing it. You're taking it in. Here's your heart chakra. So that's my favorite thing to do. That's how people usually know I'm talking and receiving things from the heart, is I usually hit my heart a lot. And it's because I am always speaking from it, which is why sometimes my videos are all over the place. But I trust that the people meant to listen to them, they have no problem following along in this, right? So the point is that accepting your compliments, that's a big thing. Praise the gift that you're being given. Accept that you deserve this. Welcome that into your heart. Let it sit there. Because if you're bashing it away like that, what is making you feel like you can't accept that? Even if you don't feel it, in the beginning of a lot of the time working on this stuff, you're not going to feel it. It takes time to let yourself actually let down the wall. There's a wall almost to be like, no, I've been told I'm not this, so I can't let that in. And it's like a shield. But that shield, sadly, we thought was like protecting us. It's actually withholding all this love waiting for us, right? And including from ourselves. If you bash away somebody else's compliment to you, that's you also telling yourself you don't believe that about yourself. No, I don't deserve that. And that's not true. You deserve it all. So don't negate those. That's a big thing. But anyway, and then it's also when we fail, our self-worth is knowing I was not tied up in this winning. It's not tied up in this result. I am still worthy. I am still a good person as I am. So if you fail, it's just a learning experience. It's just a way to make you better. It's not all of a sudden I'm shit, which is a big difference between like guilt and shame. Guilt, oh, I made a mistake, I can learn from it. Shame, I'm terrible, I'm the mistake, I can't be changed. And that breeds the helplessness, right? We don't really want to be in guilt or shame, but you definitely don't want to be in shame more than guilt. Guilt is something you still manage and you don't feel helpless about it. And it's a sign that you could do better, right? Shame, on the other hand, is like you can't change that. And it's going to continuously make you feel terrible because it's something that is just now embedded in you and wrong about you. And that's wrong. So we don't want that. Okay? So we want to handle failures as learned experience rather than proof of failure. We're not proving every time we fail that we're a failure. We're proving that we're learning, and learning takes time, and sometimes we're not always going to be smooth about that, okay? And you deserve the grace and compassion to fail. Because as a child, if you never have done that, you would have never learned to be who you are now. So give yourself that space to learn. You deserve that because that's part of that self-worth, knowing you deserve that learning process without feeling like you're going to bully yourself over it, okay? Another one is self-care, which we're going to get to, but that's the biggest part of that, if you're going to look at it for self-worth, is prioritizing your needs without guilt. Knowing I need to take a break, and that doesn't mean something bad about me. Knowing when I can't help my friend, even though I want to, I can't. And me saying no isn't I'm a bad friend. It's I just simply can't right now. And I know that you'll figure it out because I have faith in you, and there might be somebody else that's going to be able to help better than I can right now, right? But self-regard is another one. But again, so both of these things, self-love and self-worth, they come from your internal self. Self-love is not something somebody else can give you. Self-worth is not something somebody else can give to you. The problem when we get to like things like narcissism, that's the opposite, right? So for people who have narcissism, they might have a high value of self-love, but they need it confirmed. They need it to be brought in. They need that external validation constantly. That's why they don't feel good if somebody says something other than that, because that's exactly what they feed off of to live off of, because their internal metric, even if it's saying it, it still needs confirmation of it, you know? If you have it truly inside yourself and you're healthy and happy, there is this stable regard for yourself that's positive, and it is internal, and it doesn't matter what happens. And sometimes it may falter because sometimes we can get down on ourselves, but it is drastically different needing a continuous flow of positive regard for yourself in order to sustain some false idealism of yourself. When you are aware of your true authenticity, you really don't need a bunch of confirmation on who you are. There's just this stableness of believing I know who I am, and I am loved all the time. And more stuff that comes up, it only makes you love you more, you know? And it's the same with self-worth. It's unconditional. You know, your higher self-worth, the more resilient you are, because the more you realize that you are worthy, the more you don't equate what you put out to your worthiness. It's just an internal core that you have. And so it helps us to have better relationships. It helps us to have lower anxiety. It helps us to handle setbacks better. So building up this self-worth is actually better for you than most things that they program onto us out there, because they do not want us to be all that resilient. They do not want us to think about ourselves in this way, because then we would choose to grow instead of attack ourselves, pretty much is the best way I can describe that. So the last one is self-care. Self-care is the intentional, proactive practice of taking action to preserve or enhance one's physical and mental, emotional, and spiritual health. So do you notice how money, people, things, none of them are involved in any of these areas that I've talked about, right? These are, again, about your inner self, about you, how you feel about you, and how you take care of you, and how you stand up for you, all right? So self-care is my favorite thing because of the fact that I believe that it's the ultimate how we're parenting ourselves. I'm my mom and my dad by what I do to take care of myself. I know what I need, and I know sometimes I need to nurture myself, and sometimes I need to direct myself. Sometimes it requires more hands-on, and sometimes it requires less. Sometimes I need the nurturing care, and sometimes I need more of my discipline, but not in a negative way, right? So when you have self-worth, you don't feel the need to berate yourself in order to make these changes. You don't feel the need to be mean to yourself in order to see changes. Your inner masculine energy and inner feminine energy, they all work in harmony together to nurture you in a way that feels like, yes, you can do this. I know it's difficult, which is the discipline, but I know you're strong and you're capable, which is that nurturing side of yourself. Reminding yourself of your true value and what you have going on can help you to move past whatever the challenge is at the time, right? But it does require that discipline to step over that, right? So for me, it's amazing because I, for a long time in my life, really didn't understand how to take care of myself. And even in self-love, just thought, oh yeah, I love the way I look. I love the way I look. Oh, I pamper myself. That's what most people think self-care is. Self-care is pampering yourself. There is a certain level of pampering that can go into it, but it's way more difficult than that. Self-care is my ugly talks with myself. And by ugly, I mean I have to have an honest conversation with you about something we don't really want to talk about. Maybe we avoid a lot of, right? But because I avoid it, that pattern, these behaviors, these mental programs, these belief systems, they stay intact and they affect me because I don't do something about them. I don't properly use self-care to help myself. I just allow them to run amok however they want, right? And it's not conducive for us if we don't have these honest conversations. And part of these honest conversations, the shadow work, right? The checking in with ourselves, all of those things, the journaling, even the integration of our past lessons, all of these things, if you don't take the time to do them, you're missing out on a big part of your experience here. And part of it is because of the subconscious block of not wanting to upgrade and level up, because realizing and acknowledging these things means then you have to do the next step, which is almost like an atonement. You have to do something now because you know it. And once you know it and it's clear to you, you can't just sit there and ignore it anymore. And that's part of where a lot of people are at, is they don't face it because then they can ignore it. But yet these things, these themes, they stem up in our life, in our experiences, in our bonds, in our jobs, in our health, whether we address them or not, because they are still, even if we acknowledge them or not, they are playing a role. Which is why the sooner we look at them, the sooner we notice them, the sooner we make this adjustment, they don't have to affect us that way. But the more that we allow them, the more power they grow, the more momentum they grow, because instead of building that way, we're building in the way of oh, I have to block all of this stuff. I have to block who I am. I have to block my truth. And anybody who knows, once you start speaking your truth, the more you try to block that stuff, the worse it is for you internally. So why self-care matters, okay? So self-care matters as a way to come back home to the self. It's one's own love when we have forgotten it or lost it or never had it. And it is what can remind us of how free we are when we choose to be, rather than choosing to be trapped, or trapped by needing, trapped by our own stuff, but trapped by also others, limitations on us. And the needing others to love us or help us in order to feel something for ourselves, right? In order to help or take care of us. We are taught to be trapped for a reason, to be dependent on others and outside sources for a reason. And it's for these broken systems because they have no power when we actually step away from that, right? From when we have true self-love and use self-care properly, we know we're capable, we know we're our own hero, we know we're our own liberator. We are our own divine source of worship and the grander side of it, right? But we also are then in harmony and get to work with it in love. So self-care is important and self-love is important because of the fact that it largely is what has blocked people from being able to have their true power and true love of self, to be able to be what you actually are meant to be here. And a part of that is just free. A part of that is just a loving being. A part of that is just somebody that isn't judging. Part of that is just somebody that is creating and understanding and feeling, you know? So self-care, lots of stuff can go into self-care, but here's some of the things that are in what I have written down for the bigger things, which is daily routines, conscious choices, learning new things, healthy eating, regular activity for your body, setting boundaries, resting, which is also part of the integration space. When you rest, you can integrate your lessons, you can integrate what you've learned, you can integrate how you're feeling compared to your actions, right? So when you don't have time to slow down, largely why we in this society don't slow down, is so we don't have this integration. So we don't have these things connecting the dots, because if we connect the dots, we waken up sooner, and they don't want that, right? They don't want us to have all this knowledge so that we can rise up. They want us to stay at this minute level, right? Or if anything, go under. So anyways, adequate sleep, engaging the mind, prayer, practicing mindfulness, processing feelings, practicing self-compassion, doing hobbies or activities that bring you joy or happiness, nurturing connections with loved ones, connecting with friends, volunteering, meditation, time in nature, any spiritual religious practicing time. I do connecting with values, checking with the self, and listening to our own intuition. The religious thing is difficult for me only because I'm not religious. I'm more spiritual. But the point is that if you're giving to a practice that makes you feel good and it connects you with your God or source, that is something that is always going to be self-care for you, because there are 4 bodies we always want to take care of. We have the spiritual body, we have our actual body, but then we have our mental body, and we have our emotional body, so our heart. Okay, so spiritual is very important. That's that quiet part, right? So you need the meditation, you need the stillness, you need the integration, you need even the journaling. The journaling taps into multiple things, but it's giving yourself that quiet time to actually write out what you're feeling. But yeah, even the sleep, anything like that is all really beneficial for helping feed and nourish that spiritual body that you have. But it also, by feeding that spiritual body, it think of it as a trickle-down effect, okay? Whatever you help with spiritually and you set up in alignment, you're creating this raining down on you, okay? So now you're helping your brain, right? The first thing it's going to help is your brain, because it's all up here, right? This is where your crown chakra and the stole chakra, all the higher dimensional chakras are up above your body, okay? So we have our own chakras in our body, which we'll talk about in another video, but when we get into the mind then, right, if you have done your work spiritually, your mind is not going to be as chaotic. So your mind now all of a sudden sees all this bigger perspective, right? So it's seeing all these patterns, it's seeing all these ways, and it can kind of smooth out the mess, all right? So there's no knots and tangles, everything's kind of organized. So then what happens with your body? Well, it's not going to be your body right away first. It's going to be your heart, your head and to your heart. So your heart's immediately going to feel this calmness that it's allowed to feel and love and open up and expand and to feel better about itself, which then what does it do? It spreads out to the rest of the body. And what does your body then do? It spreads out to the rest of the world, okay? So this is a trickle-down effect. The more that we pay attention to one, it helps the others. Because even when we ignore how our body feels, right, that body sensation has been sent down through a lot of different other bodies before you felt it. So like sometimes we get gut feelings, right? Instincts, they're important to know. Sometimes we can't explain why it asks us to do something. And that's because long before you're ever going to actually see it, you have felt something in the cosmos that your body has picked up on, that signal has been sent to you. And when the mental aspect of that catches up, when you actually see it in the real time, it will be far after when you've already learned about it. The point is that we want to start being able to listen to all these bodies separately because they do work in harmony, but they send us different notes. So sometimes up in the cosmos, we don't understand what it's saying, right? But in the body, we can. Oh, I did not like that. I don't feel well. So like your body sends you a lot of these signals right away for you to understand kind of, maybe I do need to listen to this, but we don't understand it ahead of time. But that's part of why the self-care matters and why taking the time to interact with these different parts of you and not only having self-care in one dimension, like some people super hardcore on physical health, right? Like needing to eat right and get in the gym all the time. That's great. But some people go to the gym and they still got demons yelling at them. So it's not helping you, because why are the demons still yelling at you like that? You know? There is other stuff going on, and there are other bodies you still need to take care of, because no matter what, it's still going to impact the rest. I'm not going to lie, going to the gym and everything like that is going to help the rest of you. It will help your mind. It will help everything going on, because you create movement in the system. But if you are still going and you do not have self-love, you do not have self-care, even if you get your dream body, you will not think it's your dream body. Even if you make the changes you want, you still won't love yourself, because that's what happens. We get these people who've done all this work and they still cannot stand themselves. No amount of money can change their face or whatever and make them happy with themselves. So at some point, it has to be deeper than what's on the outside, right? So like, yes, caring about your body, doing all of that stuff, great. I'm not saying don't do that. I'm saying that love for yourself has to come from something more than the outside, which is where all these other little steps of self-care really do come in handy, because they are what you actually are in here, not just this, right? So for me, self-care is very potent. It's what creates a holistic wellness, because holistic cares about all dimensions of you. Holistic is a well-rounded version, right? So we don't just want wellness in one area. We want wellness for everything, because now with that trickle-down effect, we know that once we have a few of them in good harmony, that means the rest might be. It also means that if we care about one, we necessarily are trying to actually help care about them all. But also by caring about them all a little bit at a time, we know we are for sure nurturing ourselves in the full capacity that we need. So it's very potent, expands into all areas of life, and it can, by caring about your self-care alone in a lot of these areas, this reduces your stress, prevents burnouts, alleviates pressure before it's unmanageable. It lowers risk of illness, reduces anxiety and depression. It lets your best version of self step forward, and enables you to take care of yourself and others. And so when we think about self-care, it really isn't selfish, because the more you take care of you, the more you can take care of others. I cannot help people if I do not manage my self-care. I am a terrible person to be around if I don't manage my self-care. And I say that because I then am more likely to snap. I'm more likely to be hostile. I'm more likely to take things personal. I'm human. I'm not perfect. I'm working on these things. But if my needs aren't met, I'm not eating, I'm not sleeping, I'm not caring about how I feel, I'm not doing anything I like, I'm not doing this, I feel mad about that. I love myself so much. That anger is something that is because you love yourself. That's how I see anger now, is I'm mad that I was treated that way. And a large part, I'm mad that I'm treating myself this way, that I would violate my needs this way. And instead of me punishing myself, it's easy to take it out on others. And as a part of being self-aware and loving myself and wanting to be compassionate with me and others, I don't want to put that on others, and I don't want to put that on me, because ultimately I feel crap before I put that on others. So it's about the important small actions that align with your needs, which is beyond just pampering. So pampering is a good part. Yeah, baths, massages, like any skin stuff, any of that, great. Nobody's saying not great, okay? I'm saying that it does go further than that. It is the actually taking care of yourself as a whole human being that is healthy in a way that actually makes you thrive, okay, and feel good about yourself. So it's funny, because when I look back at what actually inspired me the most when I started shifting from being in like a place of like no self-love to where I am now, the first thing I started doing was wearing, after I got out of high school and I started drinking, I started wearing fake eyelashes, a ton of makeup. Still love makeup and fake eyelashes, it's just I don't wear them all the time. And I don't wear what I used to wear for makeup at all. But then I also would wear extensions, and I would dye my hair all the time. And I'd have my tits all like pushed right up, like anything to get like attention, to feel like I was looking the part, for acceptable. But one thing that inspired me the most to start loving myself as I was, instead of trying to fit into like this mold, and to honor my liking to dress up kind of thing, was drag queens, which I know they get a bad rep, but I beloved drag queens. I've always loved drag queens. I started watching RuPaul's Drag Race when the first season came out, and that was when I first started going to the bar. So they taught me to love who I was, and that a lot of my unique traits is actually going to be my magic, where the world is going to be like, wow, they're different, and I love them for that. You know, it's not something to hide. And even when I did put on the makeup or the hair or anything, it wasn't that I was hiding. It was what made me feel powerful. It was what made me transform and to feel like I had this armor on that even if I did get backlash, it didn't matter, because you're attacking the makeup and the hair. You're not attacking this person who's naked and vulnerable and all of her normal. You're not really seeing her, so you're not really hurting me, you know? And it was beautiful because I realized that eventually I realized I didn't need all of that stuff to feel that way, right? Like once you work on your self-love enough, you don't need the armor, right? And that's why I do say a lot of the time, these steps that I talk about, they do make you invincible, because what you once thought you needed, you won't need anymore once you have these foundations inside of you, because you're untouchable now. So I love drag queens. I love the fact that they bring so much diversity and culture, and also creativity and passion. There are some I don't probably like, and it's not every single one, just like every single person on earth do I like how they're doing it, but it's not about me. That's their way. And I love that people are being unique, and they can do that in a way that like brings people together. I do want people to all love and honor themselves, and if somebody dressing up in drag and having fun and a ball helps other people come out of their shell a little bit, then I have no problem with that, okay? So people might give me a lot of hate, and I don't really care, because it's really your own personal preference. But I don't know, if you've ever dressed up on Halloween and just felt that difference of the character you're in, or acted in any kind of play, it's really powerful stuff. It's part of when you're writing your own script, when you start thinking about the person you want to be versus the person you are right now and what you've been taught to be, it does feel like acting in the beginning. You have to put on this new persona of who you are. Even though it is more authentic to you, you still have to act as the person you intentionally want to become in your script writing, right? And this is something we'll talk about in the future. But point being, if you don't know how to step into this role and become this version, right, it will be very hard for you to step out of an old role. So taking these drag queens and applying them into what I'm talking about, it's really neat, because the more that you can switch your hats like this, the more you can see how much you can transform, how you are not this one little thing that has to stay exactly as you are, but you can transform and become whatever you want, whenever you want. And sure, you don't have to dress up like a drag queen, but you can dress up however you want. Maybe you've been told your whole life that you look best in white and with your hair down. And guess what? Now you can have a big old blowout and wear all the color you want in the world. You know, like, it's just about those little changes. It's just about knowing that you have the freedom to be as free or and crazy, or as free as sedated, or free as, like, you know, whatever you want. I don't want to say sedated. I feel like I'm using the wrong words for this. But point being is, I just feel like it's powerful to know that you can transform, and that it's beautiful to see you in every phase and whatever that looks like. Like me, when I look back at my makeup, I don't be like, oh, she's a fake bitch. Like, I'm not like mad at myself. I'm like, wow, I still am like in awe that you used to do your makeup like that. But all it makes me sad about is, like, I can't see my eyes like I can now, right? And that's because my makeup back then hid a lot of me. And not on purpose, but because that's what it does if it's too heavy. That's what it does if you don't know where to put it all the time, right? And even my fake hair, I used to really love so much, like, Cher hair. Think Cher hair back in like 70s, 80s, man. Like big fro. That's all I wanted. You know, and I have thin hair, by the way. And fine hair, I would say. So it's not like I have a ton of it like that. It does have a lot of volume to it, but not like that, right? But when I'd wear it, it would like literally, it would cover just the top of my body. And for a long time, I didn't realize it was because I was trying to cover myself, cover a lot of the stuff I didn't like looking at. I was made fun of. I was told that I had a really short neck, right? So I'd cover it with hair. You know, I was told I had a really fat face, so I'd try to cover it with hair. You know, even the eyelashes, you know, it's just, everything was a way to try to mask myself and to feel better. And for a long time, I didn't know that, right? But through drag queen and allowing myself to feel free and to explore, I suddenly opened up a door to find out where I did feel the best. And part of that is in between. I love days where I dress up. There are Sabbaths, because I follow the wheel of the year, and I celebrate and honor the cycles of our seasons. And I love dressing up. I love being big and extravagant. I love having any reason. I'm a big fan of Halloween. I love to put on a costume. I love to do that. I love to go to big extravagant things and get dolled up. So is there a problem with me doing that? No, there's not. And there's not a problem with me being, I like to call it hobo chic. I like to be real and raw as well. And there's nothing that makes me ugly when I'm like this either. It's just the fact that society made me feel that way and made me feel like, if I'm a drag queen, that there's something wrong with dressing up like that, when in reality, we're just dressing up. But then if we look further into the makeup aspect of it, well, makeup was adjustment that we have been pushed on because for a long time we've been told we're all ugly, that we need these things, that we have to conform to looking like prepubescent little children for most of our life, and so changed over the years, even though I still wear it, the way that I wear makeup and what kind of makeup I wear and how I put it on, very different, right? And companies make billions of dollars off of us hating ourselves, off of telling ourselves that we're not perfect, off of feeling like we have to do all these surgeries or operations or things to fit into these molds, right? And so they use poisons to sustain unhealthiness and inappropriate standards of looks and appearances, like even in diets and shit like that, right? And then we're also seeing how many people, regardless of surgeries, are never happy with what's going on. And a lot of it is always because of these things that we hate about ourselves. And these are what inspired me, right? So this is what made me change to love myself, to be looking out there and being like, wow, these drag queens can dress up and be amazing and people will love them as they are in their crazy self. I'm allowed to be crazy and people will love me too. Even if I have my makeup and my crazy hair on, even if I don't, but then also with the makeup to realize I've been taught my whole life that this face is ugly as it is. And they're winning anytime I believe that. They're winning anytime I believe that my body is ugly. They're winning anytime I believe that because I can't fit that stereotype, that I'm not a true beautiful woman or human soul. They're winning. And at some point, my stubborn heart was like, absolutely not. You don't fucking win. So when I wear makeup now, it's not because somebody ran or won and made me feel like I was ugly and I needed it. No, I wanted to put that on. I wanted to look like this. And guess what? And I'm totally fine when I look like this. I will speak and act and be the exact same person when I'm dolled up versus when I'm not and I'm rolling in the mud because I'm from farmlands, okay? I don't care about getting dirty. I don't care. I don't feel the need to hold up any kind of image about myself because I am nothing. There is no image to uphold other than the image of whatever I am authentically, okay? And so what also inspired me after the makeup aspect, realizing how much programming is put on us to hate ourselves. And this is not just women. This is men. And this is people of all ages, too. From the moment we're babies, we're being programmed about this shit to the moment we fucking die when we're 90, right? Or older. But then another thing, staying in bad and toxic relationships. If you don't have self-love, you're going to handle and stay in whatever comes out for you. You're going to handle whatever. You're going to be fine with it because, this is all I can have, right? I'm not worthy. I'm not deserving of better. I don't have that dream love out there for me to have. So I guess I'll settle for this, right? So we see how we self-sabotage when the good ones come if we're unhappy. So if unhappy, we do sabotage even the healthy ones if it's too good for us because, no, I'm not worthy of this. And even if it's not even if it's not conscious, subconscious, we are always, if you do not feel worthy, you are always creating an exit route out of any relationship or any situation because your body does not feel safe to be in it and feels it does not belong, okay? So self-love is dictating everything. And if we're thinking we're unlovable and we'll never be anything, so why would we try? And why would we go for people who think differently, right? Which means we're going to more likely repeat cycles that don't feel good. And we're also going to see that unhealthy love is more normal, and we're going to accept that, because true good love, we don't even give that to ourselves, so why would anybody else give that to me, right? That doesn't even exist. So it all is very important to understand, because those things, they really did, all come together for me. I was like, wow, the more that I started loving myself, the less terrible relationships I had around myself. The smaller my friend zone got. The least I was more interested in dating somebody, let alone staying with somebody if I was dating them, The least more I was willing to compromise and stay in a job that treated me like shit. The least I was willing to stick around and eat stuff. When my body started telling me I don't like that, oh, well, I'm not going to punish myself and make myself. At one point, I found out I was allergic to hair dye. Do you know how many times I continued to dye my hair after that? A lot. Enough that I had to go to the hospital multiple times for it. Am I proud of that? No, but that's to show you how indoctrinated we are in needing a change, even though we know it's deadly for us. I felt I needed to change myself so much, it was worth that. It was worth risking that. Because I was too ugly with my natural ashy brown hair, and the only thing I would dye it to is like a darker brown or black. My face got disfigured for quite a while. It took 2 weeks the last time I did one, and my head looked like Stewie out of fucking Family Guy, because it was so blown up here, and then it went down here and it coned out, and part of my scalp and everything peeled. Anyway, point being, the level of pain, trauma, any other words, but that we'll inflict on ourselves when we feel like we have to. Pretty sad, I stayed in a lot of terrible relationships because I was like, I want to be loved, and I guess this is love. So this stuff is self-love really saved me. It saved me from the programming of the government and society and the way that the world is wrong. It saved me from, putting myself in a lot of bad situations. It saved me from hurting myself more. So I most recently, because I stopped dyeing my hair quite a long time ago, but most recently I found that my body doesn't handle certain foods like tomatoes and spices well. So for a long time, I was like, well, maybe I can just like hair dye. Just a little dose, just every now and then. My body will still be fine. No. And that's the thing is we keep telling our body, you can handle it. You can deal with it. Instead of being I hear you and I love you enough to hear you the first time that I don't need to put you through that again. I hear you that this isn't making you feel good and we're going to leave it. I don't even need to understand why. I just know it's not for you. And that's where I'm at now. But it took this, right? It took these. And that's why this video is important. I don't want people to have to hurt themselves to understand that it is always going to matter what's inside than it is whatever you're going to look at or be like on the outside. So outside of this stuff, I started to watch what I would listen to, or watch instead of. I would start to also watch what I said, because words are spells, which was talked about before, but also movies, songs, books, things like that. Depending on the programming that you're nourishing your brain with, a lot of that is also feeding you this loop of what unhealthy self-love and self-care is like, right? And then the next phase was learning boundaries. So for me, I'm very impulsive. I have ADHD. And so in some frames, I can easily get I can have a lot of energy some days. And this past year, I've been working on low iron. So some days, my energy is a bit different, right? Than it would be another day. Sometimes my moods would change. Or sometimes I just wouldn't even weigh up the cost of what I was agreeing to. So sometimes people are asking you to make quite a commitment. And I'd agree before I'd even understand what cost that would come at to me. Because I wasn't even thinking about it. I was just thinking about helping, right? And so for me, for learning boundaries, a lot of the time was the first thing I was how can I give myself space before I make a commitment? Sometimes it's I'll think about that and I'll get back to you. Yeah, let me look into that. I'll get back to you. I'm going to need a bit of time and then I'll make a decision, and just giving myself that space to know I actually don't have to be pressured to say a definitive answer now helped me so much, because also then I know when I agree, I am not agreeing to the pressure of that person in front of me. I'm agreeing because I genuinely feel like I want to do that, And sometimes I immediately want to say no, right? And later on it becomes a yes. So sometimes I'm shut down because that's going to require something of me, but yet when I look back on it, that requirement is actually going to help me grow. And I do want to grow in that way, and it's worth it. So I'm going to do that. But showing up for others in ways that felt good for me rather than depleting self, to show my worthy of their love, which is a big thing, right? Is I used to be a people pleaser to a very big level. And so I would deplete myself all the time and go out of pocket and become a person that I wasn't really comfortable with, because I was so trying to just get people to like me. And it would deplete me to the point where I would not have anything left for either myself or my passions or my jobs or anything like that. My health took an impact over the long run because I would make those choices like that, right? And so learning boundaries really helped me to show up for people in a way that actually was aligned with my heart space, and in a way that I wasn't abandoning myself. And that's a big thing that we need to learn how to do, because a lot of the time when we abandon ourselves, it creates long-term issues with abandonment, right? And us not trusting ourselves then to know that we're capable of honoring ourselves in the way that we deserve. And so a big part of my self-care has been rebuilding the self-trust that I broke for lot of years, because I told my body no, or my mind no, or my heart no, and when I was meant to say yes to it, when I was supposed to listen to it and honor what it was telling me. So, and then that last stage of what really inspired me was falling in love with my own life. A lot of the society makes you want to hate your life if you don't have a great one compared to others. A lot of people compare. A lot of people think success is labeled by these markers that they put out there, like beauty, also being rich. I found out that I love my life. I love my body. I loved how I was capable. I love how rich I was. I had enough to provide for myself and to enjoy my life. I love what I did and how I did it. I loved who I am and how I spoke, and I love that even though I wasn't the richest person in the world, I didn't need to be in order to be happy. There's so much freedom in not being the richest person in the world. There's so much freedom in not being the most successful person in the world. Do I have the world looking to me for answers? Do I have the world looking to me to solve all their problems? No, I don't. I just have to solve mine. And I fell in love with my own life, realizing how precious it was to have a life. How precious it was to have a life that I was free in. How precious it was to have a life and a body that I could actually love and enjoy this life in. So many of us forget how much we should be grateful for, and that's because they largely want us to always be this empty void needing more, because we don't realize how much we actually have. Richness to me, there's richness in character, richness in food, richness in color, richness in love, richness in joy, richness in happiness, richness in activities and passions. Richness isn't just money, neither is success. And what this gave me when I started loving my life was, it gave me a better life, for one, because then I started actually enjoying what I had and appreciating it, making the most of it. But I stopped longing for what I didn't have, because if I didn't have it, usually it's a goal I can set and I'll work towards it now, because I love myself, and that's what I do. I set goals and I accomplish them. But for the most part, I was never lacking what I actually needed or wanted. It was more I just needed to enjoy what I had. And so it got me more solid connections and improved my mental health, and because I wasn't as anxiously externally focused anymore. But ultimately it brought me so much peace. I'm stressed, obviously. There is still a big world out there that I am very aware of what's happening, and all the people in it that I care about, that I really don't want this to happen to us anymore. and the animals and the earth, and I care about it all. And as somebody who's extremely emotional at any point in the day, I could cry about it all the time. Is it helping? No, it's not, which is why I'm doing this. This feels like it's helping. Even if I get to just put this somewhere, it helps me because I'm not externally focused on needing approval or appreciation or acknowledgement for this. I just know that I'm speaking my truth and speaking things that I know and that help me. And I know that at the end of the day, that's all that matters. Okay, so because at my lowest, I remember being in like grade, I don't know, maybe 5. And people were making fun of me because I had fat on my body, right? I wasn't skinny. And I was still very young. And my thighs particularly, which are still chunky. And I remember being in my room and looking at a pair of scissors and wanting to cut the fat off my thighs. And so I'm sorry if this is too much for anybody. I'm not going to be pulling triggers and trigger warnings and this stuff because I never did that and I didn't do that, but it was a thought, right? That's a young child thought to think that you could do that. And I was like, no, it would hurt too much. It would hurt me. And so I couldn't do that. And I'm not somebody that can really harm myself. So over the years, even though I've had a lot of suicidal thoughts and ideation, which I think of suicide different now than I used to, but there was always this idea of wanting to do that to myself, wanting to just make it better by cutting it out. And a lot of that came from I hated how I looked and acted. So when I got older, because that was when I was young, right? I was bullied throughout school, and I gained more weight as I got older. I started to drink. So I drank to like me more, to be funnier, less tense, because I was always very tense, right? I wanted and craved compliments, and I always felt nothing was good enough, that I didn't need or deserve standards, a good life, a purpose, and that I in life were nothing special. So there was no point in caring about me or it. So I drank, I ate unhealthy, I had no nature time unless it was for a party. My only care was when the next party was so I could find a potential guy to like or go home with. I surrounded myself with substance issues, toxic bonds, trauma, chaos, untidiness and unhealthy living environments, no goals, no dreams, no ambition. I never journaled. I never cared about words I said. I never cared to regulate emotions and place victimhood on myself because none of it mattered back then. I wasn't living. I was merely existing, and life would be what it was. So, for me, that was me at my lowest, right? That was me not that long ago, if we think about it. It was me, still a while ago, probably about over 10 years now, but this journey has been since I was a child working on it, and I can't even sometimes believe I felt that way about myself because it makes me still so sad. And to think about how many people feel that way about themselves now really does devastate me, because you look around at the world and you know that we've been taught to be like that. We've been taught to care and hate ourselves like that. And it's so sad. So I really do genuinely believe that self-love is the key for everything. As even in manifesting, self-love is our key to manifesting, because before you can even try to manifest or want different for yourself, you have to first know you deserve it. You have to first know you're worthy of it. So that self-worth really does matter, And without self-love, it's difficult to feel that way, which is usually why it's easy for us to play a role in creating crap for ourselves. As negativity, when left unchecked, is a powerful creating force as well. A lot of us don't think that we create the crap in our life too. And I don't want to blame anybody or victim blame, but part of it you have to know is self-fulfilling prophecies is our words and our emotions, and some things that get left unchecked and allowing our brain to just think whatever we want negatively about ourselves. We are creating negative outcomes for ourselves that we have to deal with later. Because at some part of our body, some part of our awareness believes that we are deserving of that crap. And that's where moving away from this is really powerful, because once you start getting a handle on that brain and those words and that stuff coming out, and then this way you feel about yourself, it really will add, look, car alarm just went off, which is usually a confirmation. It just really will mean that you'll be able to magnify your manifesting and actually create the things you want with less of the stuff you don't want coming up. So both positive and negative are always at play. So it's important for us to see the part we play with them both, and how lacking in self-love always allows weeds to fester and grow in our garden and strangle the seeds we want to grow, our fruits, our veggies. It sucks the life out of our dreams that we feel are unattainable or we feel we're undeserving of. But when we know true self-love and own it and own our worth, deservingness, we know we can feel the difference and letting our lives change to welcome the most beautiful experience into our existence and to be able to sustain or magnify it off them, okay? So self-love is very important. Very important, not gonna lie, probably my favorite thing ever. I always am doing it. And all of us should. So again, I have a list here of all the stuff that I did to neglect my own self-love, but I already went into that, so I'm not going to read it off. But if we were to, I think I already went over this list as well, but here's another list. So if you wanted to practice self-love, okay, challenge your critical beliefs. Old beliefs are what ultimately made us believe we were undeserving, so challenge that, right? Limit external drainers, TV, socials, or music, or people. So anybody that's draining you constantly or opposite of building you up, they're probably not the best for you. But don't think that because I say an external drainer that anybody that puts you in an honest realm is a drainer. They may make you feel bummed out because you have to face some truth, but trust that is actually better for you. They're illuminating what's draining you versus being the drainer. Don't shoot the messenger kind of thing, Some friends hold us accountable, and then that's hard to deal with, and it becomes it's a drag because you have to face accountability with them, not because they're an actual drag. So if you face your accountability on your own, your friend wouldn't have to say something about it. And that's a good friend, knowing that you could at any time, again, use it as a reason to be bye. Right? Anyway. Forgiving yourself. Major. Stop comparing yourself. Major. Okay? Be kinder and more loving to yourself. Always. Affirmations were the biggest thing, but especially in highly emotional or volatile states, that is when you should be the most compassionate with yourself. If you feel extremely angered, there is some boundary in you that was disrespected, and it is mad about it. And it wants to honor you by coming up in that ferocity. But underneath it, there's usually hurt. Find that hurt first, right? Okay, what's making you upset though? Because you don't get upset like this for no reason, and clearly something's bugging you. So what is making you feel like you need to use anger to resolve it, right? Anyway, meditate, set boundaries, ask for help. A lot of the time we've been taught that we have to do it alone, or that we're embarrassed to ask for help. But honestly, you can get somewhere a lot faster with help sometimes than you can on your own. Take it from somebody who likes to learn on her own and did it all on her own. I would have been doing this a lot faster if I had leaned into the support systems around me sooner. However, I do believe my method was meant to be unique because of all the propaganda out there, and I was meant to come to these all on my own. So I also honor the fact if you believe the same about yourself, because ultimately only you can really know when you need to ask for help. But don't tell yourself that you don't have the right or can't ask for it, because there's help always available to you. Accept your flaws, let go of control, mindful movement, learning to say no guilt-free, challenging yourself, gratitude, remaining clear on your self-worth, looking after yourself, build more on top of old strengths and build new strengths. Empathy plus compassion, making your body happy and feel good, trust your gut and intuitive feelings, list positives about self, honest self-talk about where you want to improve. Journaling, give self a break, being assertive, and interrupting negative thoughts. Interrupting negative thoughts is probably one of my favorite things to do because I do it for everybody. If you hear anybody talking negative around you, be like, whoa, that doesn't need to be said like that. So like my one friend, she likes to be like, I'm so stupid. I'm like, no, you're not. You made a silly mistake just there. And now look at you, you've already learned from it. You're not stupid. You're actually incredibly smart. That's how you just learn that quick. Or even to know you made a mistake at all, you have to be smart. So no, you're not dumb. We don't talk about ourselves like that. Boom. Number one rule, cut that off. And even around you, because if you let people talk like that around you, your subconscious, your body and everything, it's hearing. It's like a child, right? Sponges, it absorbs. So if you don't negate, you don't say no, your brain all thinks that you just agreed as well. And we don't agree to that shit. So nope. So how to amplify your self-love. So these are actual little things that are more than just the typical self-care kind of things. So like mirror affirmations, affirmations in general, great. I've talked about this before in my intention setting one. And that's really about, affirmations are important because words we speak are obviously going to hold a lot of power because they create as we speak. But mirror, because you're looking directly at you, especially with self-love, you're programming this to be specifically about yourself. There's this one lady, I can't remember her name, but she says her name in the mirror and then is like, only the best of outcomes come to me, like 3 times. And that is a great thing to do because, again, you're putting your name in there, right? So, but any kind of affirmation you like, saying it in the mirror, super great. It is very powerful because the mirrors are technically like a portal to other dimensions of yourself. So saying it in a mirror, it actually gets into the subconscious barrier and it talks to multiple versions of you, okay? And EFT, which emotional tapping, really, emotional freedom techniques. Sorry, that's what it is. But it's pretty much you tapping on your body with these things. And why you're doing that is it also is now another level of your body registering this information and knowing it's safe. Another thing you can just do is squeeze yourself sometimes. That also, it triggers your body to know you're safe, and these things are able to like penetrate deeper into you versus just being a surface level kind of comment. So other than that, journaling is really good because you can talk about whatever you want. You're the most important thing in that journal, right? And it's really great for, I like to do a lot of lists sometimes, so I have different things I write about, but like sometimes in journals, they're specifically dedicated to just me talking about past me or congratulating current me or venting about what's currently going on for me or about lessons I've learned or about just my day, like it doesn't matter, everything. But then celebrating yourself. So there are days where I specifically write a letter to me and it's just about me being like, girl, you doing great, like blowing yourself up, complimenting yourself after you're doing hard stuff or reflecting and being like, you know what, I did do good on that. It's about really honoring what you're noticing coming up for yourself. Reconnect with nature. And why that's a good one is because technically the more you connect with nature, the more you connect with yourself because we're part of nature. But also in nature, we see how everything is beautiful as it is. Nothing in nature is actually perfect. Yet it becomes perfect just because it exists. The way a stream or a river is, it's not in a direct straight line, and yet we still love it, right? So, and like sunrises, my favorite one is sunrises. No sunrise looks the exact same, but yet the sky was painted beautifully each time. And so when we go into nature, we learn how not to be so hard on ourselves and how to appreciate things exactly as they are and the miracle and the beauty of it in a natural state. And that's exactly where we need to be with ourselves too, right? Sensual touch is another big one. And that's because a lot of the time, if you really don't like yourself, sometimes you really don't like your body. So one of the things you can do is, really slow touches, massages, those things can be really good for you. Dancing, however, feels good. It's part of somatics. Another thing I'll talk about it eventually, but dancing in general, one of the biggest antidepressant kind of medicines you can have is dancing. So even if you are just slightly depressed or anything like that, or just have a really heavy day, dancing for even 5 minutes will alleviate you so much. But it also just letting yourself feel good and moving however you want is a symbol to your body, again, that you accept it and are allowing it to exist and feel good however it wants, right? So acknowledging yourself's truth, that will always make you feel good. Because the more you're aware of your truths, the more you know what are the lies, and therefore don't need to entertain them anymore, right? And so then you can love yourself fully as you are. Cleansing yourself is incredibly important. We all pick up on energy, even if you don't know you do. And so baths, cleaning, cleaning your home is important in general for your self-love, because then you're taking care of yourself and your environment. Baths are important because energetically it helps cleanse you, especially if you add a little salt in there. Smoke, you can use smoke, so like smudging, some people, but obviously not for everybody because it's like kind of a close practice. But incense, you can use incense. Even being out in the woods and you have like a fire going, you can use whatever wood smoke is happening, and you can set the intention that it's coming through you and pushing through everything away that doesn't belong to you, anything that's negative. Let it take it. Another way to cleanse yourself is just grounding in nature. So walking barefoot on ground is really good. Another thing is if you have an ocean near you, it's really good to go in the ocean because the ocean has salt. So that on top of the grounding and the salt bath, and ocean has a lot of negative ions around it, which is like really good for health, super beneficial for you. And then nurturing yourself and nourishing yourself. So these are the little things of like good foods, tender care, having those baths, but also getting ready for your day, having good sleeps, positive self-talk, having those boundaries. These are all ways to actually help take care of yourself in a daily way that is loving rather than pressurized or feeling like you don't have a choice, like that I have to versus I get to take care of myself today. I get to do something that I really like, so if you are going through a hard time and you are especially like triggered in something, one of the things that you can do is a role play thing. And this is where you would say that if your friend, a child, or somebody that you really like or love is coming up to you to talk about this problem, what would you tell them? Because oftentimes the whole premise of this is oftentimes we're a lot harder on ourselves than we are on other people. So if they were coming up to you, what would you say to them? And that's what you need to say to you. And why that helps is because then you're usually going to be a lot more gentler on yourself about what's going on and understanding. And you're not going to want to beat them up about it, right? You're going to try to make them feel a little bit better. And that's really where you should be at. There's no reason to beat yourself up about stuff going wrong. There's a certain level of honest acknowledging your self-truth if you haven't been very well. But at the same time, at no point in berating yourself is that going to make you feel better or help the situation. It's going to be actually what you do next, right? So why self-love matters, okay? It's our guide. It's where we decide what we deserve, foul treatment or royal treatment. Do I deserve to be treated like a fucking peasant, or do I deserve to be treated like a king or a queen, right? We all deserve to be treated like a king or queen. This is all of our planet. We are all children of our earth and of God. This is all of our planet. There's no reason any of us deserve to be treated foully, except I think the people that think that people deserve to be treated foul. Then you are the only ones that technically deserve that because you believe others deserve that. So maybe you need to know what that feels like before we deserve it, right? So it also helps us know what we allow or stand against. So it's going to teach you what you actually want in the world, what you don't want in the world, what you want in around people, what you don't want around people, what you want for nutrition, what you don't, what you want for movement, what you want for education. It's going to teach you everything, right? Self-love is our guide. Loving yourself enough aids us in going after what matters. If you don't love yourself, you are never going to care about what you have to do next, right? Like for me, when I started loving myself, this became important. This, talking my truth, even though I don't want to do it, and there's millions of people talking out there, it still became important because this was dedication to me. Dedication, all the years that I've practiced and all the years that I've done all this stuff. And at what point is it helping if I just keep it to myself? At what point am I still saying that I don't deserve to speak if I don't, right? And I love myself enough to know there ain't no reason you don't deserve to speak. There ain't no reason that even if 1,000 other people are saying what you're saying, that you can't say it too. There ain't no reason, and loving myself meant leaving my hometown and coming down here, even with not having an idea why, or starting the programs I started. Just knowing I love myself enough to try these things I was interested in and felt drawn to. That motivates you, right? So self-love matters because it can help us see that we are our own guru. We're our own, we can be our own mother, our father, our teacher, our friend, our doctor, our therapist, our healer. We are capable of doing anything and achieving anything when we truly and fully embrace the self unconditionally. It is only by these limits that we've been programmed or taught to believe in ourselves that have blocked this self-love, which has blocked ultimately self-worth, which then has blocked that ability to be that guru, to be that healer, to be that teacher for ourselves. And why we need others is so that they can remind us of that. But when we remind ourselves of that, we remove needing them to do that, right? Which is why I believe teaching people this is better, because of the fact that I don't want people to be trapped in needing people to do this for them anymore. I want you to be sovereign. I want you to know how to do this for yourself. I want you to know how you having this in you helps the positive energy in the world, because then you're again putting it out that I don't need anything besides me, but I will love whatever is out there too, because I love me and it's a part of me out there, right? Anyway, so when I have lost myself, when I have been at my pits of my lowest, the ways that I come back is literally positive affirmations. Again, I've spoken about it in the videos. I usually do them when I'm waking up or going to bed. I do the mirror stuff, but also another thing that I do is I stir drinks. Even water, you can stir it, but you want to stir it clockwise. Clockwise is setting an intention in it. And so good intentions to charge up your own healing or whatever kind of energy you want to bring in. I do that with my drinks, but also with all of my food before I bring it in my home. I'm I remove all prior conditioning of this food, all a negative energy that anybody has handled or been around or made, or this was programmed under to be created under. I now remove it. I now instill it with positive, loving intention just for me to help every body or every cell in my body thrive. So I'm blessing my food as I'm bringing it in my home. Everything that's been brought in here has already been blessed, already been charged up, but then right when I'm eating or drinking it at the time, I still have it's still having more intention going into it. But there is this point of those positive affirmations, they're going into everything around you. You don't have to just talk to yourself, right? Cells, which is in everything, love when we talk to them. So talk to everything. Journaling, another one, my favorite. I love to journal, and it's because I talk a lot, right? So, but again, there's the normal free writing, kind of just like a normal book where I can write whatever I want. It doesn't really, see, that one was, I was on mushrooms, so I just scribbled. But normally it's just, I love that that's the one that opened up. It was a microdose too, so that's just saying anyway. There's difference. So this gives yourself the freedom to express. And then I do these release papers where, I'm big on the different days of the week being good for different energies. And so certain days, but also there's certain time frames that are also good for these releasings as well. So full moons, season changes, anything really. I could make up any kind of reason to have a burn bowl, but a burn bowl is essentially a bowl where you burn stuff in. And so I write papers specifically that I'm going to burn. So this is stuff that I'm specifically goodbye, putting it to death, putting it to end, putting it to bed. These are things that I want to immediately be gone, but you can do burn bowls for intentions too. So stuff you immediately want to bring into you. But that's the difference, is some normal journaling, then I have releasing journaling, and then I also have gratitude or intention setting kind of writing. And so one of the things that I did when I first was trying to shift my mental focus from negative positive talk and negative skew of life was I found out that if you write 3 things down a day for about 30 days, it can rewire your brain to look for the positive. So you write 3 things down you're grateful for every day. And I did that. And I did that for years. So, and it did shift a lot of stuff for me. And it's actually amazing when you start paying attention, you realize that there's thousands of good things happening in every day. I used to do it on a calendar, so it would limit, because I could write forever, right? It would limit how much I could put in them. So I eventually don't do them now because I don't feel like I need them now, but I'm sure I could bring them back. But I do use gratitudes throughout all my day anyways. These are really good because it is rewiring your brain to find the positives. And most of our society, because negativity is 10 times more powerful than positive in our brain, for our brain, in the actual energy scale, positive frequencies is obviously way more powerful, but in our brain, our amygdala is set up to be programmed for negative stimuli to be 10 times more powerful, which is why we are constantly berated in society, like in socials or anything, with violence, with negativity, with bad juju information, because they purposely know that it is so powerful for our brain and that we're constantly going to be seeking out that negative stuff. So we actively have to program ourselves to be looking for the positives. And part of that is, looking at the things to be grateful for, looking at the stuff you did good, looking at the little things that you really liked in the day or the little things that made you smile. Okay, so, and why that is because it takes 10 positives to outroll one negative, right? Which is why we do, one of the things I said about helping your self-love and all that was to remove as much negative stimuli from your daily operations as possible, because the more you're nourishing your brain with that, the more you're going to have to feed positive stuff in order to counteract what you're hearing. So also, environmentally, your home is a good representation of the mind, which is why I always talk about it needing cleaned and stuff. It's hard to see the truth of yourself, what we love, what makes us unhappy, if our mind is covered by dirt and gunk. And so that's the same in our home. It's hard to deal with what's going on inside of us if we're kept ourselves so busy that we constantly have to be cleaning our home and cleaning up things in our life so that we never have time to focus on what we need to clean up in here, right? So if we don't deal with it in the real world visual of what makes it easier to cover up our true wants, needs, and desires, as we can be distracted instead. So regular cleaning, organizing, moving stuff around for shifting energy, and clearing out old stuff, all really great. This is all why Feng Shui is actually really powerful stuff, because of the fact that it is shifting the energy in your home. Your home is a living entity and part of your mindset. So largely, keeping it in disarray is also a sign that you are keeping your mind at the same spot, right? So anyway, your body environment is the same, which is what I was talking about cleaning before, and baths and whatnot, and smoke and stuff. Your aura, your nervous system, and all the different layers of your body, they store energy. So that's where that smoke and stuff, salt. I have a salt bath every night. I go grounding, barefoot walking almost daily. And I use incense in my home almost daily. So I'm very big on the energetic cleansing. I clean my home usually every day as well, mainly because I do work in energetics. I pick up a lot of energy, so it helps me to not only kind of work off some of the energy, but it helps me to streamline the energy to make sure it's the kind of energy I want around and in me. So it's important to keep your energy in your body as high frequency as possible, and as that helps clear out any stuck energy, and it'll help keep moving you forward as well. So, and then my last thing, I think one of my bigger things, because I've already talked about, is baths, but spiritual self-love baths. These are baths that are a bit more high kick. So these have been set with intentions that they're going to bring like this self-love, this healing, this peace, this revitalization. And you use specific herbs, crystals, incense, music, like tone music, and candles, but also I think certain blessings as well. But there are powerful, I don't know if I said that, that's why I said think, but powerful combo energetically, but in all dimensions, as it slows us down. That's why they are so good, is because they do slow us down. They get us back in touch with our sensuality, our body and our senses. And water is super healing because it does engulf us in that way. It holds us. We feel safe. And for self-love, that's really important, to feel like we have that kind of embrace around us that's helping heal us. So that's my cat scratching. Sensuality is the next one. Self-love can be amplified by giving yourself or allowing yourself the freedom to feel, to be, and to receive or give pleasure. So a lot of the time, some people who really don't have a lot of self-love, they do not really like being touched. They do not like sensuality. They do not like touching others or themselves, right? And they have a really hard time if people want to give them that kind of care. So some of these things you'll have to do in stages, like a self-loving massage sometimes. If you're somebody that's very uncomfortable with yourself, you might have to do that a few times. And it might not be as intense the first few times. Like, it might just be a lot really gentle instead of really getting into any kind of more intimate areas. But there is a reason why, like, sex with some and the right people is so powerful, is because that is one of the biggest times we can manifest, is when we are feeling good and we have those orgasms, right? And so self-manifesting, that's one of the best times for somebody who wants to self-masturbate and manifest at the same time. You feeling good, you already are in that energy of what your manifestations would feel like then, which is like mind-blowingly great, right? So some of these things, like sensuality, is really important because, feeling good and allowing yourself to feel good and what that looks like, that is a big part of visualizing. That is a big part of your manifesting coming in, right? And so things you can do is also sensual touch, like we've talked about. There's the non-sexual kind, and then there is a sexual kind. But sensual dancing, I picked up belly dancing because with my ADHD, one of the things I really wanted to learn was to slow down a bit and to really connect with my body instead of just like jumbling it about all the time, which I like jumbling, which is more somatics. Somatics is about shaking it out and letting it kind of be released from your body, and I love somatics, so I will get into that more. But that's why usually, if you've seen me on TikTok, I post dancing videos a lot of the time, or music videos, because music and dancing are very much into subconscious and somatics, which should really penetrate deeper. But anyway, and then there's a sensual loving massage. So sensual touch is just like really slow moving, and then the massages are obviously different. But the sensual massage, non-sexual, this is adoring each part of your body. This is like you go through and you're like, thank you, arm, for like strength that you bring me and being able to like lift and bring everything into my reality for me. Thank you for like the smoothness of you, and like I thank you for your skin and your ability to reach and hold me. Like, it's about really being able to get familiar with your body and being present with it, but also just really like adoring what it is and what it does for you, okay? Another thing I started doing back a few years ago, I used to date like when I was younger, and then I went through a patch where I didn't at all. And then for 7 years I didn't date, and then I had a few relationships that were terrible back to back. And I was like, you know what, I don't want to date anymore. I want to just date myself, because even when I was healing, I wasn't dating myself. I was just like healing, going through school. And so one of the things I started doing when I started doing that was a date night with myself, right? And so that was intentionally being like, oh, what's her favorite stuff? Let's go do all of that. Like, let's plan this day, or let's plan this night, or get dolled up and go for dinner, or I go do my favorite whole day of activities that I just love. And what this taught me was that in general, every day is a date with myself. Every day is a day for me to love myself. Every day is a day for me to put that energy into myself. So it changed into me just always wanting to naturally take care and do these little things and think about it in a way like, oh, how can I make this romantic for myself? You know, and that's because I know that I deserve that kind of love. Like, that's how romantic I am, right? So that's why I put it up for myself. And so, so getting dolled up now wasn't just for extravagant days, or when it was whenever I felt like I wanted to. And so sometimes I get dolled up just for me, right? So when women are like, I didn't do this for you, a large part of it is not for anybody besides them. They genuinely woke up that day and were like, I want to look fine as hell today. And they do. Anyway, so getting onto nature is my ultimate, like, probably daily one that I do all the time. And that's just because I recognized when I was doing my training for life coaching how much nature really did like make me relax. And that's just because I have fun in it, but also because of all of the elements are out there. But yeah, the more you slow down to connect with nature, the more you're connecting with yourself. And so the more I slowed down, the more I was really like seeing different metaphors, because nature metaphors and gardening metaphors are my favorite metaphors. I've already used one in this video about seeds and weeds. So it's interesting because, like, for me, we learn a lot from nature by being in it. And in essence, we learn a lot about ourselves because nature's teaching us about us too. So I admired nature's raw beauty, and it helped me admire my own. It removed perfectionism, and it removed comparison. Because perfectionism, a crooked tree is still a tree, and comparison, 100 flowers blooming is still 100 beautiful flowers that have bloomed. You know? And that's where we get it wrong, you know, sometimes. It's like if one flower is blooming around us, we're like, oh God, that flower is so beautiful. How could I ever compare? Well, your bloom is going to be just as beautiful because it's yours. And you have to have faith in trusting that it's beautiful in its own. And that's enough, even if it's just for you, right? But anyway, connecting and loving nature makes us want to take care of it. And the more we do, the more it takes care of us. Similar to our body and our mind. We see that that our body, in essence, is like Earth here. And the more that we take care of it, the more it can do for us too. But the more we harm it, the more we are limited. Like, we're seeing how Earth is reacting to us not treating it well, right? And we're seeing how our bodies are reacting and our minds are reacting to a society that's not treating us well. And so the more we treat ourselves well, the more we want to treat the rest of it well by proxy. But the more we realize how much these kinds of things interact and why they're so important. So I also think it's amazing because nature has a lot of health benefits. Like, that's one of the reasons I would say is probably the best one for a tool for anybody to pick up if you're going to start caring about your self-love and your health in general and your self-care, to get into nature. We are beings from nature. The more you are disconnected from it, the more you're disconnected with yourself. And so nature has fresh air, but also, like, that is so good for you. We need the air. It brings in that new energy, right? That new energy. So it's important to get out for fresh air, which is why I often do usually leave windows open here too. But the sun also recharges, activates, and upgrades DNA, heals your eyes. That's why I don't always wear sunglasses outside. It grounds us, the ground obviously. It boosts the immune system being outside, enhances cognitive function being outside, improves your heart health, you get better sleep quality because a lot of the time your body is so engrossed in it that by the time you go to bed, you've used it a lot more than you would inside. It reduces stress, supports healthy mental health, and reduces blood pressure. So nature is powerful as all of our foods, water, and materials come from it. It provides us with everything and shows us much like nature how we too can have all we already have inside of us. We can heal and nourish ourselves naturally, and that is our true self-love. So when we realize that we have everything inside of us, that we don't really need anything outside of us, you finally get to that place of true self-love, of knowing what you actually deserve, which is everything. And that it doesn't require all this extravagant stuff that they've put out there to make us think that's what it takes, right? The last two things I have is celebrate myself list, which is literally sometimes I'll be like, how far have you come? What do we need to celebrate? And I'll look back over my history and see just how far. And in a lot of those lists, that's where you find that your manifestations have come true, you know? So I like doing that because at some point, it's nice to throw yourself that party if you're used to throwing yourself a party of like, I'm terrible, right? So, which we're not, right? So we have to constantly remind ourselves, I'm great. Even if you're not accomplishing a lot, it's good to do those, especially because one of the things I used to do is I used to have to create like a whiteboard tracker for my week and have checklists on it, and that would make me feel like, okay, today I did good. When I first started with my perfectionism, I was so hard on myself because I was so indoctrinated to believe that if I wasn't rushing around all the time and doing a million things, that I probably wasted my day. And when I first started working on my own and not going to school as much, my days were a lot more chill. And so when I didn't have all of those things, I was like, you wasted your day. You didn't really do anything. You should feel ashamed. And so these lists helped me feel better because I could celebrate, like, no, you did your checklist today, and that's a lot of stuff. So if you even did half of that or most of that in one day, that's a great day. And it was a way for me to be like, you have done a lot, and it is in power, and it does matter. Even though you're not measuring it on the same metrics that others would, this is still in power. This is still important and powerful. And so it was that daily tracker really helped me for that. And then later on when I moved into the celebrate myself list, that really helped me to understand like how far I'd actually come, not just in my day-to-day, but in my overall moving around of my life. So, and then the last thing is having inner child days. My inner child is incredibly important to me. Don't know if anybody else knows how important theirs is to them, but they're literally the core of everything for you, okay? So having a day for them or time for them or constantly checking in with them will only ever improve your life, because they are at the core, where the one that is you're talking to when you ask about your needs. They're the ones that have the needs. They're the ones that you're taking care of. They're the ones that you are nurturing through all of this stuff. They're the ones that you're supporting through all these scary things. You are constantly your own parent now, okay? And that's what you need to get at. So when you have these inner child days, it's like, what would an inner child me want? Because now you can do that for them. Whatever they want, you can go do. Whatever, however, you know? And some days mine doesn't want to do anything. She wants to sit on the ground and color. Cool. I got a whole thing of colorings right there on this desk right here. So that we can just sit and color whenever she feels like it. We got paints everywhere, because I'm very artistic. Love to do that. But the other thing she loves to do is be in nature, right? She likes to cook. She likes to dance. So these are things that I'm constantly doing with her, if these are things she wants to do. Some days there's specific days she wants to go. Some days there's specific meals she wants to meet, or, you know, it doesn't matter. But these days are specifically set out to have fun with her and to let her voice what she wants. Because for a long time in my life, the way that she got to voice herself didn't feel good. And now I let her speak out in a way that feels good for us both. So we're wrapping up here. We're getting to the end. It's probably another long video, but I don't really care. So it's good. It's good for this one to be a long one, I think, and because I don't want to do it in a short version, right? So anyway, so how can you tell if you're practicing self-love versus neglecting yourself? So self-love feels empowering. So when you practice self-love, you feel a sense of inner peace and strength. Neglect feels draining, okay? So if you're constantly saying yes to others, but you feel drained and resentful, it's a sign you need stronger boundaries, okay? So neglect is always going to be like, right? Which is why when we're taking care of ourselves, we want to flip the script to if it is actually something you are grateful you get to do for yourself or can do for yourself, that it is I can instead of I have to. Like, all right? And self-compassion over criticism. When facing challenges, self-love means you're gentle with yourself. If you're beating yourself up, it's best to shift it to a compassionate mindset, okay? So that's how you know if you are neglecting yourself, is if you are being overcritical. There's no point in judging yourself. If anybody knows how skilled or how unskilled you are in something, it's going to be you. So if it's a new task, if this is a new fear, this is something you're dealing with that's the first time, there's absolutely no reason to be judging yourself or critical, right? And it's also the same way of there's no need to abandon yourself to be like, you need to be this way, you know? No, self-compassion is, okay, this is where you're at. I see you, I hear you, we'll work with this. And you know what? Good job on even being here, you know? Because it's difficult to even try to change, right? So, again, if we were to look at all the things that are the most important things for self-love, self-acceptance, boundaries, self-compassion, joy and rest, because you deserve to have joy and you deserve to have rest, right? And positive self-talk. Those are going to be always your most important things to follow up on, okay? Self-acceptance is foundational. It is the foundation of everything else. If you do not accept yourself, you do not see yourself as worthy. You do not see yourself as a loving being that deserves love, okay? Self-acceptance is the crucial part of it, because as exactly as you are, as unique as you are, like when I was talking about the Stray Queens, as unique as you are, there is something about you that is amazing just as it is. And to accept yourself in that means that you then do not have to be swayed by anything outside of you that is telling you anything otherwise, other than the amazing truth of the fact of your core truth that you are loved as you are for you. All right? So, you don't need to be perfect to be worthy of love. Boundaries are self-care. Saying no isn't selfish. It's a necessary act of self-respect. I do not say yes when it compromises me, because I love myself enough to know I don't have to say yes unless I truly want to, right? And ain't nobody out there for me that would make me say yes if I do not believe it honors me in a self-respectful way. If you do not agree with that, you know, if you're against that as my friend, as my lover, as my family, there is a red flag happening for you, because ain't nobody around me that when I say that doesn't align with me and I have to say no and that's not for me, that you make me feel bad for that. You know? I will remove people from my life so quickly over this shit, and they all are aware of it. It's not a surprise to anybody in my life that I do that. So, boundaries are self-care. Like I've talked about in prior videos, boundaries are the wall that you put up so that there's a safety parameter. If a tsunami comes, that safety parameter is keeping you safe. If I full on know that I cannot say yes to somebody without it hurting me and violating me in a way that is going to hurt either my mental or physical or any kind of situation for me, and they make me feel bad for saying no about that, I'm sorry, I don't give a shit. It's not my problem, and you're putting it on me and trying to change my character with shame, right? When in reality, the only thing that matters is I've set a boundary. You either listen to it or you don't. I know what I can do and you don't. It's not on you to decide for me, and it's not on you to make me feel bad. If I say no, I say no. And there's nothing wrong with that. A no isn't I'm an ignorant fuck. A no is I care about me and I know what I don't want to do, and I'm not going to make anybody force me into it. All right? Self-compassion also essential, but yeah. Positive self-talk is mainly the way that I think I transform my mind, because even just in shifting that positive self-talk alone, it shifted what I believed about how I love myself. It shifted about how I believed how I love the world and everybody in it, you know? So it's a really important time for us to really be honoring ourselves, because in essence, when we start honoring ourselves, we are honoring the world. And when we start doing that, we stop trying to abuse it or each other, ourselves, and everything in it. We start taking care of ourselves in a way that is truly beneficial for all. So I have a last little quote here, and then we're going to be done. Self-love is like the air that our lungs need. We need it to thrive and achieve inner peace and happiness. Without it, even if we have everything in the world we could ever want, we would still feel empty and hollow, unable to know why we never feel like our lungs can be filled with air, and then we're always searching for ways to breathe. So it's time to breathe in the love of you now, just as you are. And with that, I hope that you all choose to start loving yourself more fully. I hope that anything I've said in this video could help a little bit in that process. Mainly just know that you are good enough as you are. And the more that you shine that unique light out there, the more that gift might help the world around you. Like maybe this might, you know? And sometimes it's scary. That's why we know we have ourselves. Because no matter how scary it is, you're going to be okay as long as you got yourself. And you know that you can get through it regardless of what happens on the other side of it, okay? So, much love. Have a great day. Bye.